we're going to start our next step in the journey of Algebra 2 and Pre-Calculus by examining some basic properties of real numbers. And we're going to do this by defining three real numbers, a, b, and c. We're using variables instead of constants to represent the entire real number set, not just specific numbers. So these properties are valid for any real number possible. Our first property that we're going to find is the closure properties. These rules are very important to our understanding of pre-algebra because they basically define the operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. It says that all four of these operations result in a real number if the starting two numbers are real numbers. So basically saying that any of these four operations you perform on two real numbers, the result will always be a real number, guaranteed. Next on our list is the commutative properties. It, in summary, says that order doesn't matter for only two of these operations, addition and multiplication. A plus B is equal to B plus A, and A times B is equal to B times A. Note that this does not affect subtraction and division. Order does matter in those two operations. But addition and multiplication, order doesn't matter. You can reverse the order. Similarly, we have the associative properties. These properties also only affect addition and multiplication, but they're a bit different. It basically says that you can place parentheses around any two terms you want. A plus B plus C, it'll always be equal to A plus B plus C. If you notice the emphasis in my voice, that's where the parentheses are. The spacing between the letters is basically where the emphasis is, or the parentheses are. And similarly, we have that for multiplication. A times B times C is equal to A times B times C. These only work for addition and multiplication, not subtraction and division. After that, we have the multiplicative property of 0. And I'm just going to abbreviate it as mult0 because I can't write all of that down. And it basically says that A times 0 will always be 0. And it works in reverse too. If you have two numbers that multiply out to be 0, at least one of them have to be 0. And you can extend this one for multiple numbers too, 3, 4, 5, even hundreds of numbers if you want. Now, I don't want to remove the names of the properties from the screen, so I'll just get rid of the other parts, so we'll always have the names on the screens. Our fifth property is the identity properties. These properties are similarly seeming to be obvious, but they're still vital to our understanding. This says that when you have a number A and you add 0 to it, you still get A. Similarly, when you have a number A and you multiply it by 1, you still get A. These are called the identity properties because it gets itself as a result of the operation. We also have the inverse properties. These are similar to the identity properties, except they yield a slightly different result. It says that A plus negative A will always be equal to 0, and A times 1 over A will always be equal to 1. They're called inverse properties because when you undo that operation, you get either 0 or 1, depending on if it's addition or multiplication. Our last properties are the distributive properties. These ones are probably the most complex ones of the properties we're going to look at today, but that isn't saying much since most of these are relatively simple. The distributive properties state that for A times B plus or minus C, I'm using the plus or minus here because it works for plus or minus the number, is equal to AB plus or minus AC. So this symbol plus or minus basically indicates that it can be plus or it can be minus. So it works for both addition and subtraction. It's basically saying that when you have a term B plus C or B minus C and you multiply A to that entire part, you get A times B plus or minus A times C. So you can multiply it out you're distributing this A to the B and the C. That's where the name comes from. So that was just a quick study on the basic properties of pre-algebra. It's important for our understanding in Algebra 2 and pre-calculus, although some may seem unnecessary to learn or relearn, I suppose. But they're still vital to our understanding of math, which is why I included them in this review. We'll continue with our review series until we get to a point where we can actually start Algebra 2 and pre-calculus. So I'll see you next time. Thank you.